Hey guys, welcome back to Barely Known. I am your host, Juliana. Welcome to the show and welcome to episode 1. This podcast has been something I've been trying to do for a while now. It's definitely been a thought in my head that I would eventually get this going. And it is October 1st, and I woke up this morning and I said, you know what? We're going to do this. We're going to get this podcast going. I am, of course, no expert, but I have walked through valleys. I've learned a lot in my life, and I would love to share and also learn more and grow as I do the podcast. This is not your typical self-help show. This is more like a space where we'll dive deep into messy and confusing and frustrating realities of life's biggest struggles. Together, I feel like we're going to grow. And I just want to talk to you honestly about the things that hold me back and lessons I've learned and maybe things that have held you back in your life. And then hopefully equipped us with the tools and mindsets and the courage that we need, not just to survive, but to actually become a better, stronger person and be the one person that we know we can be, the best version of ourselves. So let's get started with episode 1. So today on Barely Known, we are going to be talking about a habit that we all fall into. Some of us fall a little deeper into it than others, and it can cause us so much pain in our relationships. Today we're going to be talking about enabling. When I first started thinking about this, I thought enabling, that's like a super serious thing, like an addiction. And while it absolutely is, I have come to realize that enabling is on a spectrum. It happens in our friendships, it happens with family, it can happen at work with coworkers and bosses. It's that moment when you desire to help someone or to avoid conflict, and what happens is it actually ends up, in the long run, hurting you and them. Let's start with the basics. What are we actually talking about when we say enabling? It's not the same as helping. Helping is giving someone a fish or even teaching them to fish. Enabling is when you're buying them all the fishing gear, you're baiting their hook, you're casting their line for them, and then you bring them the fish to eat, all because you didn't want them to feel the hunger. It's a behavior that shields someone from natural consequences of their own actions. Think about it. Have you ever lent a friend money for the 10th time and you know that they just don't manage their budget? And that's why you're constantly having to do it, but you still do it even though you know. Or maybe you make excuses for family members. Maybe they don't follow through with things, and so you start making up excuses for them. Or even at work, maybe you finish a coworker's project because you know they're going to miss that deadline, and you just don't want them to look bad. They're your coworker, they're your BFF at work. You don't want them to look bad. So you start doing things that actually are not really helping them. You're actually hurting them by enabling them. It comes from a good place. It really does. It comes from love, from a desire to protect, from the fear of conflict. We tell ourselves we're being compassionate, but what we really are doing is paving the way for another person to continue in their dysfunctional behavior without ever having to face the music. Let's talk about the silent ripple effect, how enabling affects everyone. So, let's talk about the fallout. This isn't a victimless crime. It has a silent but powerful ripple affecting everyone involved. Everyone goes untouched. On the person that's being enabled, you are robbing them of their dignity and the opportunity to grow. A person who is always rescued never learns to be resilient. They don't develop problem solving skills, and they never learn to take accountability, which is so crucial in life. You're essentially stunting their emotional and personal growth. And on the enabler, this part hurts. You become resentful. You will start to feel like you're being taken advantage of. You will become so exhausted from constantly cleaning up someone else's messes. And you can actually start to lose your own sense of self because your identity becomes wrapped up in being the rescuer. You're putting so much energy into someone else's life that you forget to live your own. And the dynamic of the relationship becomes completely unhealthy. It's no longer a two-way street of mutual respect. It's a one-sided cycle of dependency and resentment. The relationship can't be authentic when one person is constantly covering for that other person. So let's talk about setting boundaries and sticking to it. Boundaries, they are not walls, they are property lines. They define where your responsibility ends and someone else's begins. This might sound like, I love you, but I can't lend you any more money. I can, however, help you find a financial counselor. Or it could be, I won't lie for you, but I'm happy to help you practice what you're going to say to your boss. This is the hardest part because the person you've been enabling is likely going to push back. They may be angry. They may try to guilt trip you. And let me tell you, that's a sign that you are doing the right thing. And what you need to do is hold firm. Letting them feel the consequences of their actions. This is a form of tough love. When you step back, you are allowing them to feel the full weight of their actions, and that's going to be really, really hard on you. They might have to face, missed deadlines or broken promises or painful consequences. This is not you being mean. This is you being a true friend, you being a healthy human being to them. It's the only way they will ever have motivation to change themselves, because we all know that we can only change ourselves. If you try to change people, it is so temporary. I mean, it does not stick. So this is you helping them to be a little bit more motivated, a little bit more mindful, and they will start to change themselves. So much of our enabling behaviors come from a place of not wanting to deal with our own issues. It is so much easier to be the hero in someone else's story than to fix our own. And I get that, but to break the habit of enabling, you have to pour that energy back into yourself and into your own life. You have to start saying no more than yes, and you have to make your own well-being a priority. Remember, true compassion isn't about rescuing someone. It's about empowering them. It's about believing that they are capable, even when they don't believe it themselves. It's a messy, difficult process, but it's so worth it for your health and for your relationships and for your own peace of mind. So I want to leave you with a question. So my question for this week is, where in your life are you confusing helping with enabling? And it's a hard question, I know, and I have to ask myself that more often than I would like to. But the first step to freedom is always, always awareness. So I hope that you will look over your life this week and be aware of where you are confusing helping with enabling, and that it'll help you to, of course, recognize it and help you to fix it and become that person that isn't enabling someone but still being a helpful person. And that is it for today, guys. I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in to Barely Known. I am excited to be on this journey. I hope that I have helped you to see and understand enabling a little bit better. And I wish you all the best this week. And until next time, bye guys.